graciously donated by Retro Psycho, which is a really awesome a store that imports both Japanese games as well as like anime merchandise. Really cool store. Like they know a ton about speedrunning and stuff. So if you like ever need something speedrunning related, or you have a question of whether like your cart is going to be good for speedrunning, you can ask them and they'll know. Like, I don't know a single person that has ever been like let down by that store. It's amazing. Check them out. Bunch of good stuff there. But yeah, we are getting set up for the Rabi-Ribi race, so just give us a few more minutes while we get set up with that.
Make sure you have your autosave load ready in the right slot.
Hakua's ready.
Is it okay to do a countdown in here, or does wsbsn need a text? Okay, so you guys can give a countdown whenever you're ready then.
Alright, Mikon, I'll let you do the honors.
Oh baby, alright then. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so that's how much delay we're dealing with. Got it. Alright, so this is Rabi-Ribi. This is a Metroidvania / bullet hell game made by Cray Spirit. We'll be playing on the casual difficulties today, which is the easiest difficulty, but it's not going to be all that casual, I suppose, as the name implies. Already you're going to be seeing some movement tech here. If you jump and press down and jump, you can do this quick drop of the ground, and it speeds you up ever so slightly. And they also picked up the melee weapon, the hammer, which is, you know, your basic attack throughout most of the game. They're actually going to be hitting as many enemies as they can because they need to get the hammer. You get experience as you hit things with the hammer, and you unlock a couple more moves with it. And they're going to need to be getting the hammer to a certain level before a boss a couple minutes from now. So here's our first boss, Hakua. This is really just the tutorial boss. She doesn't really do anything dangerous and just kind of sits in the corner here and waits for you to beat on him. An interesting bit of tech you'll see the runners do is that they currently only have like a 3-hit combo, but the second and third hit of the combo hits behind you, and if you happen to turn around, the backswing of those hits does about double damage as a front hit. So you're going to be seeing the bunny kind of turn around mid-attacking, and it's going to look a little bit silly. We also picked up the carrot bombs, which is kind of like the morph ball bomb from Metroid. They're going to be bombing open passages and things like that with that.
Let's see if they both get ribbons up. Oh, Wasabi missed it. And Hakua got it.
Yeah, so this boss ribbon, if you beat her close enough to the wall, you just kind of zip over to the right and activate a cutscene that you have to walk over to otherwise. So that's kind of neat. You might see both of these runners reset a lot mid-boss fight. The strategies in the boss fights are very, very strict. If you do it wrong, you're going to have to deal with an attack that you weren't ready for, or the enemy is going to have a certain amount of invincibility frames that it would be faster just to reset the boss fight and do it. So now that they've beaten up Ribbon, we kind of took her hostage here, and now she's kind of our ranged weapon here. You'll see them charging up our fairy beams and our lasers and shooting them quite often here.
Yeah, during most areas of the game, you just want to have a charge shot ready at all times because it's very handy. It deals with a lot of enemies very quickly.
And Ribbon, that's the fairy's name, Ribbon. Ribbon will also gain experience, and you can charge faster once she gains levels, but those are much less important than getting the hammer levels that we talked about earlier. So this boss fight against Asheri here is actually probably one of the more RNG heavy parts of the run. The attack that she uses is a little bit random, but getting the right one can really make or break the run, considering how close the both these racers are in PB time.
Yeah, and it looks like Wasabi got a fast cycle because he had better RNG with Asheri. Asheri decided to jump instead of attacking, which leads to a faster kill.
Alright, just kind of making our way through the ravine area here. We'll be back here a lot later, but we're heading to town here, and we can actually get out of the prologue and into the meat of the game. So kind of the story about this game, Irina, which is the bunny you're playing as, turned from a bunny into a bunny girl, and she has no idea why. And that's pretty much the entire plot and hardly gets resolved. But
well, you have to help your master.
Of course. Once you get into town here and meet up with your master, she goes and tells you that you need to go recruit magic users from around the world and bring them back to town so they can activate this menacing looking stone slate in the middle of town. And Irina's like, okay, sure, whatever. So that's pretty much what they're off to do here. The game opens up immensely at this point, and of the, oh gosh, how many town recruits are there that you can get from the start of the game? There's at least like, what, 16 or so? At least 14.
I believe it's 15 or 16.
Yeah. So 10 is the minimum amount that's required to access the final boss fights of the game. And that's where the category name comes from, 10 town members. So they'll be getting the 10 fastest town members and just kind of getting the credits that way. So here we're going to be using a little wall jump trick here to pick up the Rabi slippers at the exact same time. Very nice. And that's basically the high jump of the game. You get the high jump actually very early in this game, and it's nice that it comes so early because there's a lot of platforming that's very difficult without it.
I don't think we explained wall jumps yet, did we?
No, not exactly. You have a wall jump in this game, like a built-in wall jump, kind of like it is in Super Metroid. There is a wall jump item that makes wall jumps easier, but you have one initially that works slightly different. So you can kind of jump off a wall twice, and the second one actually launches you at quite a good velocity. So you'll be seeing them kind of do their quick drop into a wall behind them and launch themselves with that second wall jump, and that actually saves a good chunk of time considering how often they're able to do it. So this is Rita. Rita's probably supposed to be like the developer intended first boss you fight. She's actually very easy no matter what difficulty you're on or what point in the story you're on. I guess I could also mention that enemy level in this game, like the difficulty of the bosses, is tied mostly to your story progress and the item percentage that you have at the moment. So I guess we'll get more on that just a little bit later about how item percentages all work, but here it will be the second town recruit, Sisane here. They need to attack her in a certain way and get her health at a specific value so she doesn't use a certain attack, and then they can just kind of burst her down there. If you haven't seen this game before, this part's gonna look a little weird. So we're gonna fight this boss Alias, which is kind of like a clone of Arena, and a frame after the boss fight ends, you're actually in a location of the game that you walk through later. But if you're standing in a specific spot at the end of the fight, you will trigger an autosave, and then you can load that autosave and continue from this place as if you were here. And you can kind of just walk over to what's supposed to be the third Alias fight. So we're fighting Aliases 1 and 3 right now, and we'll actually do 2 a little bit later. But it actually turns out that it's faster to do this funny skip here and fight a much later boss.
Yeah, what this is gonna do is Alias 3 is essentially the boss of the Chapter 4, and fighting her now is gonna let us completely skip Chapter 4 later on.
Yeah, this part right here against this boss, which is, you'll come to find out later, her name is Noah. It's kind of like an auto-scroller. You can't make the fight go any faster, so we actually use this time to drop carrot bombs and level up the carrot bombs. Because it actually makes the explosions happen faster after we drop them. So you really don't have anything better to do at this point, so you might as well go ahead and level up your carrot bombs for the couple times you'll use them after this.
We have a quick second.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Oh, we just got a $58.04 donation from Henry T. Says a little support from France. Thank you very much for your donation.
Yeah, thank you. So, being in Chapter 2 and having Susuni as a recruit will warp you here to the Golden Riverbank. This is really great because this is actually the way to go to get your next movement item. And getting the movement items in this game is actually really, really important. Not only are they faster, they're also safer, and there's a lot of extra tunnels and stuff that you can take after getting the specific one we'll be grabbing here in just a minute or so. In addition to zips, oh boy.
Oh yeah, zips. Oh, well, this category doesn't have that many zips, I think.
So just a little bunny hopping through these enemy-less areas, and then we're getting to a computer lab. So I guess what I mentioned earlier about the item percent affecting difficulty, at this point in the game, if you are not at 10% items, the game kind of puts you in a glass cannon state. So you take really increased damage. Like, these lasers do like, what, 20 so damage right now? Or I guess it's only 15. It's still a good chunk of your health. If you were above 10% item, they would be doing like 5 or 6 damage. And it affects enemies too, that the bosses will have significantly less health because you are below that 10% item threshold. And in fact, the casual difficulty of this run never goes beyond 10% items. So you're basically a glass cannon throughout the entirety of the game. And I guess while I was talking, we also picked up the sliding powder, so now you'll be seeing Bunny doing a lot of slide jumps, getting through some tunnels here.
I guess I should also mention the 10% item thing that Mikon mentioned actually also applies to 5%. However, it's a lot less noticeable on 5%. 10% is really the one that you want to avoid in this run.
Oh yeah, that's right, I did forget about that. You can see the item percent at the top of the screen. They'll be getting to, I believe it's 9.5% by the end of it, so it's actually very close to the threshold.
Yeah, you want to make sure you pick up as many attack ups and other items as possible while staying under 10%.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of collectibles in this game. There's some that increase your health, obviously. There's some that increase your regeneration rate, how much health you get back after you beat enemies, your MP, which is the amount of attacks that you can do, and how much MP Ribbon has to shoot her lasers and stuff. But we're ignoring all that. We're getting a couple attack ups and some shop items, and movement items, and that's about it. Yeah, so welcome to Yokoso Rabi-Ribi Park. This is like the most vertical climb in the game here that we like to just call park climb. With the slide and the high jump, they'll be able to get through this pretty quick, but you'll probably seeing a lot of fun little wall jumps here and there to get past some spots. So on the left, you'll see Wasabi picking up the attack trade badge. This game has a lot of badges in it that do small little bonuses and things like that. The attack trade badge actually gives you 25% more attack damage in exchange for 50% more damage taken. It's pretty ridiculous, actually. But they won't be equipping it quite yet. They're going to be actually equipping it during a boss fight to perform a small little glitch. And I think both the runners actually perform that glitch on a different boss, so we'll be seeing it at different times.
Ooh.
So just traveling through the sky bridge here, these little thwomps that you see, I'm pretty sure they do kill you in one shot, so don't get hit by those.
I want to say it's 2 shots, but I am not confident enough in my answer.
I haven't really played Catch all that much, so you might be right.
Either way, you should just avoid them no matter what.
Yeah, don't get hit. So at the beginning of this vanilla fight here, they kind of have to pause and attack at a very specific time to kind of bait out a certain attack from the boss. Because if you don't, they can jump up into the air and fly around, and actually they just completely turn invisible for some of their attacks. So you really want to make sure that you bait out the correct attack so they stay on the ground. Boss attacks are determined, and the pool that they can choose an attack from is determined by their percentage of HP. So you can usually get it pretty consistently, unless it's some of the more random bosses like Ashuri, which we already passed, thankfully. So here's the second fight against Kochi. We kind of glossed over the first one near the start. She has a lot of attacks where she jumps up into the air and becomes very difficult to damage. But if you use one of your drill attacks right as she takes off, she actually just falls right back to the ground, and you can just kind of wail on her during one of her attacks. And there you saw Hakua perform the badge glitch, and we'll have to perform the badge glitch again because they kind of messed up a pattern there. If you equip a badge, it actually does increases the boss's stats a bit, but they don't actually get the new HP value that they would have gotten. So it kind of like damages them like already.
Hakua in a rough spot right now, not getting any luck with this aerial glitch, as we call it.
Yeah, there's some pretty convenient timing right at the start. Like you can shoot a couple times and then right as you get to her, just wait a second and go. But it is still pretty tight regardless. There we go.
Yeah.
So the whole reason we came all the way up here was to pick up the air dash item. It's not going to be useful. It's not going to be useful right now. We actually have to go to the shop to upgrade it first. But it'll actually be our best form of movement. And you might have missed it on Wasabi's screen there, but they just performed a zip to skip the entire pyramid area. You'll see Hakua be doing that here very shortly. So while the air dash isn't that useful in movement right now, it actually is a pretty good weapon. So you might be able to see it here. Or not. Big deal. It doesn't send you that far, and it actually does a lot of rapid hits to the enemy. And the air dash has kind of like a damage fall off, so if you spam it too much, it'll be doing less and less damage. But there's ways around that. And here, Wasabi-san just did his first and only shop trip, where he bought some attack ups, and now has the really fast air dash, which you can immediately see is amazing. Hakua on the right here is trying to perform that zip. If you kind of slide jump it, yeah, there's nice. If you slide jump and kind of brush your head into a corner, you'll kind of zip to the right here. It only works when you're going right, and it can be used to skip a couple areas and get into some pretty weird situations. If you're into exploring the outer bounds of the game here. So with Pandora being our 4th town member, you can access the second alias fight, the one that we I guess this is done at the correct time. The second one is, and you have to go through this mini boss battle first. But it's kind of weird how it happens. If you pause the game and go to your load menu and scroll past the 4th file, it actually shares a value and thinks that it shares a value with something else in the game memory and makes you think that you beat like 1,000 mini bosses. So you actually only have to beat up one of these guys. And you'll see it on Wasabi-san's screen on the left side here. This mini boss event has like 8 enemies or so, but with the mini boss glitch, you can just take out one of them and the event just immediately ends. So here we just picked up the air jump, and now we have like maximum movement bunny right now. She can go flying wherever she wants to. There's a fun little trick that if you quick drop into a double jump, you gain a lot of horizontal speed. And here's going to be another kind of zip or autosave glitch here, depending on which one they get. So in this boss fight, there's an autosave right before the boss, and if you trigger the autosave high enough, you will reload the autosave into the ceiling. It'll zip you into the boss room, and the game won't even trigger the boss. It'll think the boss is already defeated. Well, that's not exactly how it works, but it's close enough, I suppose.
Yeah. Passable explanation. Small mention worth noting is you'll see them sometimes picking up some rainbow eggs. These eggs don't really do much, they're more extra collectibles, however they do give us a small amount of money, which can be useful for the first shop trip.
Yeah, they've already passed the first and only shop trip that we'll be doing. However, there's a lot of... all of our town recruits, actually, you can buy a buff from them in town, and that's what we're going to be spending all of our money on at the end of this game. We're going to be buffing up really strong for like temporary buffs right before the final boss. So when they go slightly out of their way to pick up an egg, they're going to be spending the money that you get from that egg a little later. So Wasabi-san is in what is notoriously one of the more difficult fights, both casually and kind of in a speedrun sense. Nieve is one of the bears that like to bounce around a lot. Really difficult to hit. It's really hard to keep them pinned down. And they also have a lot of aerial attacks, so if they get away from you, they can be difficult to damage, but it looks like that one went pretty well.
Yeah, Wasabi-san doing a fantastic job.
Now he is headed over towards the Forgotten Cave, or Cocoa Cave, whatever you want to call it, where we'll be getting our 6th recruit, and probably one of the more important ones for the casual difficulty because of the thing that you get from them in town. So to trigger the fight, you actually have to go through this screen, screen transition once, so you can go to the right or you can go down, and then you just have to immediately go back. There is an item down there, but you actually don't need to be picking it up at all.
Oh, I didn't notice, but they already reached their 9.5% items, so that means they won't be picking up any other items for the rest of the run.
Mm-hmm. The items that you buy from the shops and like the temporary items you buy from town members actually don't affect the item counter at all. So the attack ups that they bought in the shop earlier didn't affect their item percentage at all.
Do we have a quick second?
Yes.
Go for it.
$20 donation from Redshifter says bounce bounce.
Oh my gosh. You know, same.
I love Bounce Bounce. Bounce Bounce being the music that plays during, most notoriously, the bear fights. as in Nieve and Nixie.
Yeah, luckily you won't be seeing Nixie's fight because she skipped, but she's really bad, just like her sister. Ooh. So you can see the glass cannon state at work here. Wasabi-san taking a couple hits there, losing like half of his health per one. But luckily there was a save point between where he received all of his health back. So speaking of glass cannon, the boss were there was a casual large hit there. We're coming up on what is probably the glass cannon boss, which is the third fight with Kotri. This boss will probably do 30 to 40 damage to them per hit, in addition to putting a damage over time effect on them, so it's really important not to get hit by this boss. Luckily, she also has like really low health compared to other bosses, so if you just kind of keep her pinned to the wall there, and that's that. I guess I didn't get to mention, once you get to your 6th town recruit here on Hakua's side, you get this silly little side chapter where you play as one of the other characters and just kind of kick some bosses, and that's it. It's over really quickly. So on the left side, you'll see Wasabi-san performing what we call Nixie Skip. There's a autosave trigger right before Nixie's boss fight, and you can actually abuse a glitch. That's not really a glitch, I suppose, but if you reload, you retain, or you get your air jump back, so you can actually just trigger the autosave, jump back to it, trigger the autosave again, and you just keep doing that over and over, and you can just clearly fly, you can just fly clear over her boss trigger and activate it in such a way where it actually just completely skips the boss fight. And the game thinks that she is recruited as well, so just like that, we have our 9th town member.
We jumped from 7 to 9 town members because fighting Nieve doesn't actually recruit her right away. We have to go fight Nixie afterwards, or in this case, skip her, to get both town members at once.
Yeah, some town members aren't recruited right away, and that's fine because they actually don't affect the global enemy level until they're recruited. So you can actually abuse that. And oh, Hakua taking an unfortunate death there. Only took 56 damage when you have barely 50 max HP.
Yeah, 56 damage is... I'm pretty sure that is his max HP. It is, yeah.
So Wasabi-san just took out Chocolate, which will be the last town member, and they already did their buffs from the town member shopping trip, and one of the town members who recruited, Hakua, actually sells you bombs, and this next boss fight coming up, it makes very good use of those 3 bombs that we bought. So when you choose speedrun mode at the start of the game, you kind of skip this whole prologue sequence that, this whole prologue hospital that he's in right now. So there is story to being here, but you know, the story in this game is basically bunnies, and that's pretty much it.
But I mean, honestly, what else do you need?
Just bunnies, yeah. So here's the fight against Miru. Miru has a buff on herself at all times, which halves the amount of damage she takes from you, and the fight is kind of meant to take a really long time, but with abuse of you know, doing a bunch of damage, keeping her pinned against the wall, and these lovely little bombs we found, you can just kind of blow her up before she even does an attack. Which has honestly been the case for most bosses on this difficulty. Very nice kill there on Miru.
Yeah, well, minus the bombs for the other bosses, but yeah, the bombs are very nice for tough bosses like Miru.
So here's kind of a very funny glitch. This is what we call no escape. So we get hit by these giant orbs here. We get a giant debuff. At the moment the debuff expires, if you are a certain height above the ground, you can kind of clip through the ground and out of the boss fight. You skip the 2nd boss fight and go straight to the 3rd and final one. So the time will be whenever this boss reaches 0 HP and kind of explodes into stars.
Yeah, when the screen fades to black after this boss, it's going to be time for Wasabi. Assuming he doesn't die, this is another very difficult boss.
Yeah, she does have a certain part of her attacks where it's randomly chosen, so you kind of have to react to it very quickly. Or risk taking a hit and probably dying, considering how much damage this boss does.
Yeah. And that's time for Wasabi. It looked like a 2740, which is very, very good, actually.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah.
That's the record.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me check
Yeah,
that.
I was thinking, like, wait, hold on, isn't that, like, ridiculously good?
So speedrun.com says Wasabi's time is 27:53.
That was
which
that was definitely a 2740. So yeah, that was definitely the record. Yeah.
Damn.
Okay. Wow.
It could be a delay on time though between like the restreamer, so we'll definitely check that out. But damn.
yeah, I'll say that was quite the bunny.
Even if it's not actually a record, that is still a very, very good run. Congratulations to Wasabi. Hakua's going to be coming up on the end soon.
And after blowing up Mirror here, they'll have to perform the Noah skip, and missing that is a good chunk of time gone, probably, what, 15-20 seconds or so.
Yeah.
You got this, Hakua. Do the skip.
Another note is, while they've been doing this, we explained this a little bit at the start of the run. Air dash has some fall off damage. The more you use it, the lower your damage gets. So when you see them reloading their autosave right before a boss, they're resetting their fall off for air dash, which means that they'll be doing more air dash damage, which is good.
I think I put too much pressure on Hakua, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Hakua. So Noah skip is actually a little bit fickle, I guess is the proper way to say it.
Yeah, at the whole air dash against the wall here is actually just timing that they're setting up, and then the final one just kind of locks their height in place to make the glitch more consistent or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go, second try. Good enough. So I also want to, while we're here, shout out the dev of this game, the main dev, Gimayue, who has been actually pretty close to the speedrun community. They've fixed a lot of glitches, but left an option in the in-game options to actually re-enable most of the glitches that we use. So super shout outs to the dev for that.
Yeah, thank you very much to Gamma. He's honestly a blessing for this game and for the speedrunning community. And that is time for Hakua.
Yeah, GG.
30-43 is also a very respectable time, considering how much of a glass cannon you can be in this category. Congratulations to both runners for very good runs.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's it from us.
Awesome.
Wasabi-san bullied me.
Even after you politely asked.
Yeah, I think I look back at the time. I think the 2740 was fairly accurate.
And yeah, that is a new record indeed.
That's pretty insane.
GG.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you very much.
That was a fun race.
It was a great race. I think we just witnessed a world record. So
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
My run didn't go
thanks.
so as well, but Wasabi-san's run was pretty sick.
Well, it's fine. But yeah, so thank you very much, Hakua and Wasabi-san and Mikan and Cosmo for commentating. And we are going to go ahead and get set up for the next one. So it's going to be Mega Man 8. So stick around.
Pretty much just copy it as far as optional goes.